Happy Easter Monday. What's going on, family? You know who it is, the man of the hour, it's your boy Big D, and welcome back to my channel. Hey, I just wanted to give a brief update and just give a big congratulations to my wife. For some of you people that know my wife, you guys know that she's been going to school and she's pretty much finished with her school. Now, this video is basically about education, right? But before we go into that, I got a little bit of proof to show you guys. And this is a big milestone and a big completion for my wife, man. I'm so excited for her because I remember, me, yes, Big D, went to college too, and almost graduated. I'm just a couple of units away from from getting my AA and my associates on water technology education. For most of the people that came out, a lot of the videos that I've been in, they display that, I got my AA in college and so forth, which I didn't. So I want to clarify that, to make sure that we're on understanding. I don't want people to say, oh, well, they said this, but you're saying that. No, let's clarify something. I didn't get my AA associate's degree, but, for those who know, I did go to Palomar College in San Marcos, if you guys are familiar with that area, North County, San Diego. Okay. But today, this is not about me. This is about my wife and the importance of education. Now, in order to get into certain facilities, and to have a great paying job and so forth, it requires education. To me, like I told you guys, it's all about educating. Whether you're educating on your history, educating on math. You want to be an engineer, you want to be a physician, you want to be a psychologist and so forth. That's what my wife is going for. Believe it or not, let me just demonstrate this and give you guys a little idea, a little bit of my wife's background. My wife's been in prison. Yeah, she has, 10 years or maybe 15 years of her life. My wife, if you guys know her testimony, she had certain addictions to her, back in the 80s and the 90s and so forth. And her testimony is very heavy if you guys have heard it. I think go check out Gilu. And, he pretty much, gave an interview for her, so she demonstrated what her background was. But hopefully in the near future, I could get her on here and she could give herself, her testimony to what her lifestyle was, and it's a very heavy one. Like I said, my wife was, she was involved in drugs. She grew up in Willing Meat Projects, and she had, she has a father, but the father figure's not around and so forth. Just like many homes, she's another prime example. How the upbringing and not having a mother or a father in her lifestyle. Well, she had a mom, okay, and that's my mother-in-law. And shout out to my mother-in-law. She's a beautiful woman, man, and she demonstrates a lot of my motherhood, and she fills in when my mom's not around. I'm so appreciative of her, and beautiful woman. But going back to, my wife, she'll tell her, she put her mom through a lot of stuff too. Most of us when we were young and, we were being menaces to society when we were younger, through a lot of broken homes, not having our father figure around, with violations that sometimes in the home that people don't discuss about, what's behind the door and so forth. And, her being on the streets and the violations that she encountered and the addictions that she also, went through in life. But like I said, my wife has a crazy testimony, man. Like I said, she's been in prison and so forth. But along her journey, she found God, and along her journey, she found to educate herself. A lot of people, a lot of inmates, they're pretty smart. Don't get me wrong, man. They educate themselves. They they have nothing but time to read, to work out, and so forth. The lockup life. For those who have been behind the walls, and but one thing that I'm trying to get to is that my wife, she actually, like I said, she's 10 credits already into just officially getting her degree, right? She's pretty much there and everything, but this is what I want to demonstrate and show you guys. The proof is in the black and white, what I'm saying, or in color. Now this is basically all color. So my wife basically got her cap and gown. She went to the University of Phoenix. She did a lot of, or most of her online, she did online classes. And she got her bachelor's degree. And I'll let her come and talk one day, like I said, display what she, or I'll tell you right now, she went for correctional services. She wants to help inmates or get in there so she could be, facilitate, people who are coming out of, prison or jail and so forth, and basically be, what do you call those, where They try to facilitate you, house you, and try to get you, if you need ID and so forth. Like I said, she'll come out here and she'll display and what she's doing and so forth. And, when she gets her degree. So we're going to go to the University of Phoenix in Arizona. And actually, we've been there. I saw a football game, shout out to the Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals and so forth. Their stadium is called the University of Phoenix. But, for those who are going to school, I know a lot of you guys, I follow, you guys are, are behind the, the black and white, the paper and pen, behind the computer and, and so forth. And then you got the blackboard and all that stuff. Like I said, I went to school, and I just want to say school's very exciting, man. School's something that without even a diploma, me, myself, I don't have one. I was able to take a test, an assessment test. And, because the school's not going to finance you if you don't have some kind of education behind you. If you don't have a diploma, they look at you as a liability because they don't want to fund you. Basically, you're gonna have to pay for everything, the FAFSA, right? Because they pay you in school. That's what I'm telling you. So if anything, I want to show and display that anybody who's been inside, and pretty much a lot of people know. If you come out, and don't display or just don't think or don't be discouraged. I want you guys to, and I want to encourage you guys and to let you know that, man, if my wife can do it, if I can almost do it or apply to do it, it's all about work. You know what I'm saying? It's all about, you got to stand up, you got to pick up that phone, and you got to get information. And then you got to, next thing you know, you got to get yourself there. And then whatever you do next, you got to take an assessment test. If you are a high school diploma, you go get your FAFSA. The government's granting you. They'll grant you. They'll give you finances. They got EOPS. To get your books. They'll give you grants, which you don't have to pay back. For like books, supplies, and all, etc. And basically, they're pretty much, school is pretty much there to help you. School to me is something that let's just say you wanted to be an engineer, right? And your math, your mathematicals, and so forth, right? But then again, see what school does, this is how I learned. What school does, and that's why I learned, they have the alumni and all these big degrees. They go and they'll pay for your education because what they want to do is to get the smartest people in their universities, right? The alumni. You know what I'm saying? So when you go to a job site or so forth, it looks good on them, right? You got a bachelor's degree or, your master's degree or your associate's degree. And, they always display, oh, what university did you come from? Oh, I came from Cal State, California. I came from Cal Poly. I came from San Marcos. I came from the University of San Diego, the University of USC. They always want to get the smart kids, right? So they could display where you came from. That was a trip. It's like representing the neighborhood, right? It's like, hey, well, what school did you come from? Where did you graduate from? A lot of interviews, and they display that. One thing about school, education, it's a form of discipline. Let me tell you, I had a full-time job. My wife would tell you, right? I had a full-time job and I was a full-time student because in order to get Pell Grants and so forth, you have to at least have, be a full-time student. So, I would go to school and then after come home for a quick minute, my wife would make me food, make me dinner, and me and my homie, shout out to Junior in San Diego, my boy, and then from there we go to school for another 3-4 hours, man. And the whole time I was trying to gas is my future, getting degree, getting educated. You know what I mean? Trying to, I wanted to be something so I could supply and the things that I needed for my household. I wanted to make my household, I wanted to make my life a little easier. Excuse me, I just came from the gym. And so, education brings that. And along the way, it was crazy because I didn't go to high school, so I didn't really develop so much of social skills and social knowledge of education, my English, Chicano studies, and so forth. So when I went to college, to junior college, shout out to the comments, San Marcos, Palomar College, it showed me, right? I was like, damn, man, I missed all this. I spent 10, 12 years in the neighborhood, risking my life, learning about the streets, educating myself on the streets and so forth, not realizing that this education in the books is where it's at. You know what I'm saying? I wish somebody would have told me, but if you guys know a little bit of my story, I didn't have a father, right? So, if I had a dad or somebody oversee me, telling me to educate myself, go to school, put it together, 1 + 2 is 3 and so forth, I think I would have had make better choices, when I was younger. Now, this whole thing is, like I said, it's not about me. It's basically about my wife, but this is a little, illustration how it went. My wife pushed me to go to college first, right? I went, the whole time, because one day we're at the beach, right? We're in San Diego, we're kicking back, and we're on the pier. And my wife knows I like water sports. When it comes to jet skiing, fishing, boating, and all that stuff. Whatever. So we usually go to Laughlin or San Diego, Mission Bay and so forth. We'll rent some jet skis in the family, right? So my wife's all like, hey, one day I was out there, she just see me and I was just finessing, right? She just see me. She knew I like water sports. She knows I like jet skis because the family's always going out, to the lakes and all that so forth. So she tells me, she goes, hey, you want one of those? And I was like, yeah, man. She goes, if you go to school, you'll get there. And sure enough, I got myself in school. And then let me remind you, people, I went 2 different times. Remember, if you guys know a little bit of me, had 2 different stints in San Diego. I think one year I went 3-4 years, came back, and then I went back again, and then came back. Sometimes things get hard, things happen, life just happens where you have to come back. And, you come back to your home, where all families are, you get most help and so forth. Sometimes it gets tough, but you go back and you try to finish or accomplish, or if you start something, make sure you finish it. That's just the whole objective. So, once I went out there, like I said, what puts me in delay a little bit too is the upbringing of your kids. I know sometimes in life, you come across, things that matter the most, like family, your kids, how you got to take them, who's going to pick them up, money, cars and so forth. Life just hits you. But so it kind of slows you down a little bit, but nothing's ever exempt. Now, let me tell you, now that my daughter's, she's already graduating herself, and check this out. I just want to show you this. Right? University of Phoenix. And if you guys could see, it's to my wife. Right? Under the black mark right there, it says, what does it say? It says Monica. It says Monica. So you know how they say the proof is within the paper? This is a good demonstration to tell you people, this is a cap and gown right here. And I'm going to display it and I'm going to record it because we're supposed to be going, pretty soon over there to Phoenix. And my wife, she wants to graduate it, on stage. And I think that's very, it's a big accomplishment for my wife. Like I said, there's many times where she wanted to give up because school gets hard sometimes, especially you have a kid. I remember, like I tell you guys, when I started going to school, my daughter was barely born. So I thought about my daughter for the future and all that stuff. See, you got to build a foundation, people. People will respect you, especially your children. And most of the times, and we're fighting the difference and making a difference. And I'm here to show you people, show everybody else that it's not just me, it's my wife and other people, along the journey, man. Never give up on school. Always go forth. When you're going to school, especially if you have children, you got family, you're making an example. That's the kind of example that you want to be, right? That's the example that you're trying to display. You want people to look up to you, not because of the stuff that you've done before in the past, but the changes and the difference and the effort and the hardness and to go and to educate yourself so you could go to that milestone and you could go be a motivational speaker. So you can go show and display that, hey, whatever happened in the past, that's not who you are in the future, basically, right? Because, people always like to bring up the past, right? You know what I'm saying? There's an old Bible script, the devil always bringing up your past and so forth. You know what I'm saying? But this can show the devil. This shows all the haters. It goes to show all the people who are unbelief that, when they say you couldn't do it, it's perseverance. It's motivational. See, my wife motivated me and I motivated her. Now, this goes to show you, my wife's been to prison. I'm serious, man. She'll tell you, like I said, you guys really don't know, but for some of you who do, you guys already know. You know what I'm saying? And that's keeping it real. But this also shows you that, my wife was an inmate. She never gave up on herself because, she had a strong husband like me and that she seen me make an effort and she seen me going to school that, hey, I told her the same thing she told me. It was like, hey, see, I got my education for me and the family and so forth, but it's under my name. I'm going to school, it's under my name. You need to go get an education for yourself. So now she went, and now she's displaying and now she's finishing, she finished it. It says right here, University of Phoenix, this is her cap and gown. And that's a big accomplishment, man. She's going to get her plaque. It's going to get a bachelor's degree. My daughter gets to see it. It shows, you know what I mean? We're trying to influence, we're trying to be positive influence to my daughter. I never had a father figure. My dad was dead when I was an infant, so now, just to show that my daughter could see, now she will be able to see. And that's what I'm saying. We're trying to be example to our kids. We're trying to be examples to those who, who think they can't do it. We're trying to motivate those who are looking for answers and searching for answers. And this is why I always said, And let me say this real quick. There's been a few channels, right? And they came out in the lives and all that. I'm not trying to put anybody down. And they said education ain't important. Education ain't important. Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. If you're not educating yourself, you're gonna be left behind. That's just automatic. You know what I mean? Straight up. That's how the world has transitioned. You know, that's how the United States has evolved. That's how they grew. That's how they've grown. You know what I'm saying? Because they put educational behind it, you know, and left everybody behind. Don't you notice that the United States is ahead of a technology or whatever when it comes forward to, you know, straight, you know what I mean? You know, 1+1 is 2. You know what I'm saying? Education is vital. It's like I said, I can't, say it any more than the importance of educating yourself. Whether it's street knowledge, is awesome. You know what I'm saying? Street knowledge is cool, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, whatever you display from, streets or prison or so forth, or, you lock up, you have nothing but time to read a book or, to educate yourself, so forth. Basically, because you're bored, or it's forcefully, you know what I'm saying? But, you know what I mean? A lot of it's willingly too, because, if you have nothing but time, go ahead and, educate yourself, But see, one thing I remember my Chicano studies teacher told me, man, we're born in this country, man. Straight up, people are coming from across the world. They're using our technology. They will go to our universities and so forth because we provide the best information, the best schooling, and the best, life set, when it comes to education. You know what I'm saying? So don't you understand? Like other communities, other how could I say, there's other communities and other different races who come down, man, and they use our education, while us Americans, see, us being citizens, we have a lot of privileges in this country, but we decide not to use it. We rather sleep, get up at 6 o'clock. Me, this was me back in the days. I'll tell you about me. I didn't know. I was always hating, like, oh, look at that guy. You know what I mean? He's a little young guy, and this and that. But I find out he was going to school. Oh, mommy and daddy bought him in the car. You know what I'm saying? I was always hating, you know what I'm saying? When I was in the water and stuff, walking around, or in my bike or so forth, while they're driving a freaking, Mercedes Benz or the nice Honda Accords back at that times in the 90s, while I was on my 210 feet walking around, strolling around, or on a freaking bike, and I was hating on these freaking pretty boys and all that stuff, while I thought I was out there gang banging and doing it and trying to make strides, and I thought I was gonna make a future out of it. There ain't nothing in it, man. Ain't no future in it, homie. Like, you know how they say. I didn't get nothing but street knowledge, which basically almost got me killed several times, man. There ain't nothing wrong with being street smart, you know what I'm saying? But it takes a lot of commitment to be street smart, because you got to be out there every day. You got to know who's willing and dealing. You got to know the hustle. You got to know the game. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of game will cost you your life, man. There's really nothing really education that really could get you, that will take you out and will have access to whatever you're going to do, besides being a motivational speaker, besides, knowing the streets and somewhat who's bullcrapping you and who's not. Other than that, man, it's all about survival on the streets, and you got to educate yourself on the streets too. You can't just, you got to be out there to learn who's your enemy and who's the car, what color was the car, who's that vato, how they look, the discrepancy, the description and so forth. You got to pay attention. See, it ain't no joke when you're out on the streets and everybody thinks, especially these days, a lot of youngsters that are coming out there, and they have to get it, there's certain groups, right? It's always the youngsters, right? They always go in the small cliques, I'm saying, the rascals, PB locals, tiny locals, or so whatever, the night owls and all that stuff. And then after you grasp, and then when you start becoming a G, and you start, gasping and taking in all the information that you need to gangbang, and because you have all the knowledge now, you've been walking the streets, you've been out there on the shootouts, you've been up there late at night, 7 days a week on a good one, you know what I'm saying? And you're seeing freaking, transactions happening every day. You see the discrepancies on the streets. You say who's there to play and who's not to play. You even see it from your own homies. You start looking at the numbers, who's locked up. You start looking at the numbers, who's passing away. You know what I'm saying? So, the streets start becoming a real thing, and then you start taking, trend, and you're like, damn, man, is this going to be my life? I know a little bit of my wife, how she was. Like I said, my wife was basically involved in drugs. You know what I'm saying? She has a lot of charges, and she got arrested. Most of her cases was for drugs. You know what I'm saying? Carrying paraphernalia, getting caught with, sales and so forth. Yes, my wife, it's crazy. My wife has a crazy story. But, what happens in the past doesn't define you at who you are in the future. You know what I'm saying? I just want to let you guys know that. But this is just a display, like I said, man. And like I said, I'm real proud of my wife, and she went and like I said, she a lot of times she wanted to give up. A lot of times it was hard. A lot of times she would cry. A lot of times she didn't understand. But who do you think was there helping her? Who do you think was supporting her? Who do you think was lifting her up? That's why a husband and a wife is very important in a relationship in a household. But see, that's another story, right? Now my wife, you know what I mean, from what the past was. See, the Bible says whatever the devil intended for bad, God will use it for good. And this is a good demonstration, but it comes with work. Okay? Comes with work. You got to educate yourself, man. You got to take a chance on yourself. You got to believe in yourself. You got to know who yourself is. You got to be determined. You got to want it. It's just like me, right? I want to go out and I'm trying to lose weight. So, I go out there, I got to educate myself. I got to know how to properly lift the weights. I got to properly, do the stands or do what I have to do properly, or else I'm going to hurt myself. I'm going to strain myself. I'm going to pull a muscle. I could really hurt yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, not educating yourself is really a bad thing, because if you ain't listening, man, you ain't learning. And let me tell you, school, like I said, is fun, man. When I went in there, I couldn't believe how much, you interact with certain people, you get in certain groups, you know what I'm saying? You get people's opinion, you get to say, you have your voicing. And not only that, that's why school's important, because that's why you have to pay all that money back. You go into school not knowing a darn thing about engineering. Next thing you know, you come out, you're an engineer, right? You come out, you go into school not knowing nothing about nursing or being a nurse or being a doctor, the anatomy or so forth. Unless you were one of those bookworms back in the days and you were studying all the way for it. So it's a lot easier. So my advice, man, tell your kids, tell yourself, to continue to press in. Don't cheat. Look at the blueprint. There's nothing wrong with getting help. A lot of things are help. They have tutors and so forth, man. There's a lot of resources, that school provides, man. It's a lot easier than what you think, Don't be scared. A lot of people are scared because, the challenge is, and they think they're not that smart. They think they can't do. No, there is help there. That's what school does. School shows you, they teach you, they help you. It's for you to learn and to study and to do the work, though, right? It goes hand in hand. So I just wanted to make this quick video. Like I said, man, it's nothing but positive things right here. I appreciate you guys, man. Hopefully you guys could take some of this and just understand that, hey, this is very important, man. And the only way that the raza, or, or Latinos, all the way from Cuba to Panama to Mexico to, El Salvador and all that, we need to educate ourselves, people. We really do. Colombia and all that stuff. Come out here and use your resources, man. Be on your kids. Make sure that they're doing their homework. Look at their the blackboard and be on them. Because it was a little milestone. I'm going to be honest with you. My daughter, she was kind of, she was slipping a little bit when it comes to her classes. This last year, out of all years, she decides to, to slack. You know what I mean? When the year that she's graduating too. So not only is my daughter graduating, my daughter graduates this in a couple months too. So, and then her mother graduates. So look, they're going to graduate together, people. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to go out there and be successful and this and that, because anything can happen in life. God forbid that, my daughter becomes an alcoholic, or anything can happen. But to know that if they're on school and they're getting educated and they're trying to walk that straight line, these are the things that they won't have to worry about. Those kind of distractions, and they ain't going to have to encounter. Those, they start disciplining themselves. They see the importance of school. It makes them accountable, because, not only did they learn in high school, junior high, elementary, that they take roll and they do all that. Now, well, guess what? Now they're an adult. Now you're an adult, whether you're 18, 27, 34, 83. I see old people in school when I went to school, man. There's old people in there. And for me, let me tell you, CP, I like to go in person. I'm one of those, I'm intellectual, I got to get in there and understand. I can't be online, in the blackboard and all that stuff, where they give you this and that. That's not me. But for most people, because, the COVID and all that, it's crazy how it kind of set us back, and the in-house schooling and all that, it took it away. It's kind of sad, man, But to know that, hey, get in there, educate yourself, man. Pick up a small degree at AA, at least get your AA, take a couple college courses, maybe so. You know, even pick up a trade, right? Just learn how to be a trucker, learn. You don't got to go to college, be an electrician though. You know, get certified. You know, so you could join a union. You know, education helps you. You know, a lot of people they say, oh, you know, entrepreneurship. I believe entrepreneur. Well, let me tell you something though. For by you, you're better off getting your education than you being an entrepreneur. And I ain't doubting you or mocking you or anything, man. If you have that heart in there, you're gonna strive for it. You're gonna work for it. If you're gonna do clothing, if you're gonna do, you know, anything, you know, you're gonna make your own fooding and all that stuff. You know, whatever industry you belong or your heart's at, you know, go for it, man. Go, you know, get your dreams, man. It's all about making your dreams, but you gotta get it. You gotta get it. You got to go out there and you got to do your work. You got to make an effort, man. You know, you got to buy, you know, like I said in school, you have to buy your books. You got to buy your pencils. You got to buy your papers. You know, you got to buy your binder. It was a whole thing that was like, you got to buy a backpack. You know, you got to buy a sharpener. You know, just all the little things that you have to do to get in there, to sit in class, man, and then stay focused, man. Stay focused. Stay focused. That's the main thing, man. You know, especially us that, you know, are older, who've been through, had a little hard life and so forth. You know, we ain't there to play games, man. We ain't there to BS and to say like, oh, I'm here just to, you know what I mean, to see what's going on, you know? No, you go on there to learn, man, you know? And that's what I'm saying, you know? It's just like education is very important. But I just wanted to come out and like I said, I'm very proud of my wife, man. She's going to be a great example to people in the future. You know, she's going to meet that milestone. And what better way to interact with people who not only have been there, right, but who have done the labor too, man. That's the beauty of it. You know, that's what my wife wanted to do. She wanted to give back. That's why she wanted to be a correctional, work in the facility, you know what I mean, helping people who are coming out of prison or they're coming out or, you know, helping on those case manager, right? You know, those who are homeless, those who need some housing, they get their IDs and all that. That's what my wife's going for, case management. You know, so my wife gets to open a door and have that one-on-one relationship. Not only is she there to help because people sometimes it's hard for us to interact with people who never experience, you know, the hardship of life. And my wife, you know, honestly, she could say, hey, you know, I've been there. I done that. My life was changed. I went to school. I got married. I got introduced to God or get it, whatever your guys' belief is. You know what I'm saying? And not only are they gonna, my wife wants to make it personal. That's how our anger management is, you know, our business is in some sense. You know, we don't say too much, but it's like, hey, we've been there, we've done that. So you want to interact like, wow, man, like, you know, what better way to have a relationship when somebody who's been through the streets, who's gone through the pain, suffering, who lost their kids, now they're back. You know, it's reconciliation. That's what God does. You know, don't throw away your talent. Don't throw away your belief. Don't doubt yourself. You know, don't hate yourself. You know what I'm saying? Give yourself a chance. Whatever you're going through in life, whatever's happening, you know, get some help. There's people there to help you, like my wife. That's what she's going for. You know, depression, suicide, and all that. You know, I understand that today's world and today's society, there's a lot of psychological problems, man. You know, there's a lot of people, even me, you know, I'm finding out, man, that, you know, I was some sense of depressed. I was some sense a lot of I got PTSD from the streets, you know, a lot of anger and, you know, from my upbringing and feeling that loneliness that, you know, my mom didn't provide for me because my father wasn't around. So, you know, but, you know, what helped me was just like, you know, taking those steps and those chances, giving a chance to myself, you know, meeting a good person to help me, to motivate me, to encourage me, to go back to school, to finding belief in God, you know what I'm saying? And then I was influenced and I was able to go back and then not only demonstrate this, but you know, be an example to my wife, you know, me being the head house, you know, setting the bedrock, setting the foundation. And now my wife, God forbid, if we ever get divorced or whatever, she's independent. She could be herself. She could run on her own. She don't need Big D no more, right? You know? But hey, that's the way it is. We got to be self-dependent. You never know how a marriage, what could happen, you know, in a relationship, to tell you the truth, in any relationship. You know, easy come, easy go, just like that, man. You know, you could be married for 40 years and next thing you're divorced. And I see a lot of times where a lot of, not just women, but men, they feel emptiness, they feel lost because they don't know how they're going to restart their life all over again. But if you have a degree, right, and you have belief in yourself, and especially you have God beside you, and you have a good man and a good woman beside you, man, those who believe in you, you surround yourself with motivational, and you find yourself, you know what I mean, people who keep it real, this is what you get. So check this out, people. I just wanted to come down. I'm going to leave you guys just the way, guys, I came in, man, with positivity, and educational and purpose. So with that being said, you know who it is. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this, This is a big milestone for my wife, and for all those who are going to school, I just want to tell you, man, keep doing what you're doing, keep grinding. I know sometimes it gets hard. I know years are going to pass, but in the end, I want to see you there. With that being said, you know who it is. Damn, I'm out.